Well, it was both a productive and an intense meeting. Productive meeting on the government shutdown. Um, we we are making good progress. We made it very clear. The speaker said unequivocally he wants to avoid a government shutdown. We made it clear that that means not letting any of the government uh, uh, appropriations bills lapse, which means you need some CRs to get that done. But we're making good progress, and we're hopeful we can get this done really quickly. There are a little back and forths on different issues that different people want, but I don't think those are insurmountable. The fact that uh, that we made it so clear that we can't have the shutdown because it hurts so many people in so many different ways, even for a short period of time, was very apparent in the room. And the speaker did not reject that. He said he wants to avoid a government shutdown. So that was very heartening. The meeting on Ukraine was one of the most intense I have ever encountered in my many meetings in the Oval Office. The four of us, all together, led. First person to speak was Leader McConnell. Well, the five of us: the president, the vice president, Leader McConnell, Leader Jeffries, and myself, made it so clear how vital this was to the United States. This was so important, and that we couldn't afford to wait a month or 2 months or 3 months because we would, in all likelihood, lose the war. NATO would be fractured at best. Allies would turn away from the United States, and the boldest leaders, the boldest autocrats of the world, the Putins, the Xis, the presidents of North Korea. I like the governor of North Carolina, actually. The presidents of North Korea and Iran would be emboldened, thinking that the United States was this soft, fat country that lost its way and would take advantage. And so we said to the speaker, get it done. I told him this is one of the moments. I said, I've been around here a long time. It's maybe 4 or 5 times that history is looking over your shoulder. And if you don't do the right thing, whatever the immediate politics are, you will regret it. I told him 2 years from now and every year after that. Because really it's in his hands. It's in his hands. We told him how important it was. It was passionate. I talked about my trip to Ukraine, where I met soldiers who had Russian artillery in range with the drones they have, but had no ammunition to fire at them. We talked about 4 brigades who were ready to go, Ukrainian, no arms, and how serious the lack of arms was. And it was the consensus in that room: Zelensky and Ukraine will lose the war if we don't get the arms and don't get them quickly. The speaker brought up the border. We made it very clear to him that we want to do something real on border, and in fact, we Democrats in the Senate supported a border bill that very conservative groups, including the Border Patrol agents, the Wall Street Journal editorial page, and Chamber of Commerce were for, but said to hold up Ukraine, which, as he admitted, was a national imperative, because you can't do something else which we all would work on, was a non sequitur. There was no logic. There's a logic to solving the border. We want to solve it. But we have to do Ukraine right now because there's a weight that can get done quickly, because that has broad bipartisan consensus, and the border takes some more work, which we'll be happy to work on to get it done, but not hold up the Ukraine bill for it.
Senator Schumer.
Let me first just thank President Biden for convening us for this very important discussion to address the important challenges that are confronting the American people. It was an intense meeting, it was an honest meeting, and ultimately it was a productive meeting. We discussed 3 issues. First, the need to avoid a government shutdown and to fund the government so that we can address the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being. We are making real progress on the appropriations bills that are scheduled to lapse on March 1st. And I'm cautiously optimistic that we can do what is necessary within the next day or so to close down these bills and avoid a government shutdown. At the same time, it may be important to come to an agreement that's bipartisan and anchored in common sense to extend the pending expiration of the 8 additional bills that are scheduled to lapse on March 8th so that good faith, tough negotiations can continue in the absence of a government shutdown. Second, we discussed the urgent national security priorities of the American people as captured in the bipartisan, comprehensive, Senate-passed legislation. This is an existential moment for the free world as it relates to being there for our democratic allies in Ukraine, in Israel, and in the Indo-Pacific, and also at the same period of time making sure that we provide humanitarian assistance to Palestinian civilians who are in harm's way in Gaza or in other theaters of war through no fault of their own. Third, as Leader Schumer indicated, we had an open, an honest, and a candid, firm discussion about the border. We all agree that we have a broken immigration system and there is a need to address the challenges at the border in a thoughtful, bipartisan way. As Democrats, we support a safe, a strong, a secure, and a humane border. We just need our House Republican colleagues not to play politics and engage in political stunts relative to the border, but to sit down, as was done in the Senate, and enter into good faith discussions about fixing our broken immigration system. As Democrats, we stand ready to do just that.
Senator Schumer, what made this meeting one of the most intense you've ever had?
The urgency of supporting Ukraine and the consequences to the people of America, to America's strength, if we don't do anything and don't do anything soon. I was so shaken by what I saw at the border. I was strengthened by the strength of Zelensky and the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian soldiers, but shaken that here they are fighting without arms against a brutal dictator who will just do anything to kill them. And the intensity in that room was surprising to me. But because of the passion of the president, the vice president, Leader Jeffries, Leader McConnell, and myself, it was. And you know, Johnson tried to answer, and he made it clear he wants to do something on the border, but we made it clear to him we can't tarry or the war could be lost. And second, we wanted to do border and have a tough, secure border plan, as we Democrats showed in the Senate. But he can't say, I won't do Ukraine until we get border. He's tried to do border for 6 months and couldn't come up with a single Democratic vote.
But is that
That's enough. Next one. Next one. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all for staying. We had a couple of meetings there. It was frank and honest. I think we need more frank and honest conversations on Capitol Hill. So I was happy to participate in this. We did that as a group, and then I had a one-on-one for a period of time with the president, just he and I in the Oval Office. Let me say this. When I showed up today, my purpose was to express what I believe is the obvious truth, and that is that we must take care of America's needs first. When you talk about America's needs, you have to talk first about our open border. I've been, I believe, in maybe 20-something states over the last several weeks, going around the country, appearing at events with my colleagues, and we're hearing from the American people of all parties and all persuasions in all cities and all states who feel this acutely. They understand the catastrophe at the border is affecting everyone, and it is top of mind for all the American people for that reason. So I brought that issue up repeatedly today in that room and again one-on-one with the president. I think that's our responsibility to bring that up. The other big priority for our country, of course, is the funding of our government. And we have been working in good faith around the clock every single day for months and weeks and over the last several days, quite literally around the clock, to get that job done. We're very optimistic. I hope that the other leaders came out here and told you the same. We believe that we can get to agreement on these issues and prevent a government shutdown, and that's our first responsibility. You also heard, I'm sure, that there was discussion about the supplemental spending package, and I was very clear with the President and all those in the room that the House is actively pursuing and investigating all the various options on that, and we will address that in a timely manner. But again, the first priority of the country is our border and making sure it's secure. I believe the President can take executive authority right now today to change that, and I told him that again today in person, as I've said to him many times, publicly and privately over the last several weeks. It's time for action. It is a catastrophe, and it must stop. And we will get the government funded, and we'll keep working on that. So we'll have more for you soon.
Change your mind on government funding for Ukraine?
For more money for budget?
Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, we were, four of us were at the White House with President Biden earlier in the day, and I think it's pretty safe to say we all agree we need to avoid a government shutdown. The Speaker was optimistic that they'll be able to move forward first with the 4 bills, and under no circumstances does anybody want to shut the government down, so I think we can stop that drama right here before it emerges. We're simply not going to do that. So we're going to come close, I hope, to having an orderly appropriations process, obviously not by the time we should have done it, but better than we've done some years by getting this 4 through and then doing the balance of them as a minibus a little bit later.